Hi one and all, complete change of location and venue this week. I've gone for, it's on the London Anglers Association ticket. I've gone for the Glemsford number 3 pit, which is on the Essex Suffolk border, just north of Sudbury, near Lavenham, round that way, along Milford. Beautiful lake. You know from my previous videos I like Glemsford number 1. This is similarly difficult. Got hit by the otters. I was just speaking to John Weddup, the bailiff, who did a fantastic job putting up an otter fence around here, brilliant, and looking after the lake. Yeah, there's still fish in here, and not getting fished very often, but I've seen enough already to intrigue me. I've had one beat, I've had my rods out about an hour or so. I've heard a couple of fish crash out, which I suspect were possibly carp. As you can see, it's a very intimate water, all full of little fingers and snaking arms, slightly deeper open area here, and when you look at it on Google Maps, it actually looks like a spider. I think it's probably got about 7-8 arms on it, and you never really know where the fish are going to be. So yeah, I've got my rods out. I'll go through the bait I'm going to use, my rigs and such like, and how I'm going to feed and where I'm going to fish in a bit. So thanks as always for watching. Hope you enjoy it. I'm feeling optimistic because I've had an indication. So I've got 3 different baits on. I've fed quite lightly, as I'll come on to in a bit, and let's see how it goes. Cheers guys, thanks for watching as always. This is going to be my ground bait mix. Bearing in mind I fished here once 20 years ago. The bottom's quite silty and quite dark, and I've got about 7.5 foot of water, just a couple of foot, 3 or 4 foot this side of the lily pads. As I go towards the lily pads it gets shallower, and I've picked this line. It seems to be like a channel. It comes to the pads, lily pads come out and they drop quite quickly, and I fished a swim like that at Bewers and did really well, and I've fished swims on other places. So first thing I'm going to do, because it's so dark on the bottom, is I'm going to put some black crumb in. Not a lot, because I'm going to spot it out, and I'm going to go quite lightly at first. I've heard a couple of fish crashing out, and I can only assume, so that was probably less than a quarter of a bag. I'm then going to put some of my, if I can find them, my beloved micro pellets. I'm going to put those in, and again only a sprinkling of them, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, so I've opened my tin of sweet corn, and I'm just going to run the juice on it, and then I'm going to put my flavouring in next alongside this. So I've gone with this Pro Natural Bream liquid, but it works really well for tench and carp. It's just really sweet flavour, and bearing in mind we're only just into spring, the water's still cold, or cool anyway, certainly compared to when they're going to think about spawning and such like. I've got, it's 11.1, it needs to be 14 before they even think about spawning. So I'm going to give a good dollop of this in. You can see how much I put in there, and then I've got the hemp freshly cooked again, with maize in it. I'm going to put a couple of good handfuls of that hemp in to start off with, and see how I go, because there's a slightly deeper area to my right, it's about 10 foot, and I might just put some hemp down there. And as you can see, I've got my maize in with it, and it's been boiled extensively. So now I'm going to crush some sweet corn up. I'm not going to put any loose offerings of sweet corn because I've got a reasonable amount of maize in there, and I'm going to fish sweet corn, I'm going to fish maize, but I'm going to fish krill pellet, which has worked in other places for me for the tench. And there's some big tench in here evidently. Years ago there used to be rumours of double figure fish, so we'll see. So that's going to get really crushed up. So it's just that's going in like that, and then I'm going to crush a few boilies up. Old cell 15mm, but I don't want to feed them whole because I don't think there's a lot of carp in here. So I'm literally just going to crush up a few of those. So there's about a dozen there, if that. They're going to get crushed, as you can see, into almost powder, and then I'm going to put some more, but not crush them quite so much, so that they're a bit more chunky. What I don't want to do is fill them up this time of the year, so you can see how that is with anything that's going to fill them up. So I've got some krill active mix, and that's going to go in. It's really strong smell, really strong flavour, but I trust it. It works really well from sticky, as do the krill boilies as well. So I'll probably put about 1/4 of a bag of that in. Then I'm going to put a little tiny bit of brown crumb. This stuff is quite sticky, so not a lot of that. It helps bind it together. And a bit of krill from Dean's Tackle in Clacton. Get a lot of my bait from there. If I don't go there, I end up going to Alresford. That's a great shop as well. So yeah, so that's it. So I'm going to mix that up. I'm going to spot it out lightly and see how we go. So I often talk about spodding lightly. I guess I really ought to show you what that means. Because I'm fishing, it's relatively shallow, between sort of 6.5, 7.5 foot of water, 8 foot of water. I want to spread my bait out because I don't know exactly where the fish are going to be. What I don't want is clumps of balls of ground bait going down. The fish become preoccupied with that. This time of the year that can be a problem. So this is why I've made the ground bait the way I've made it. And I'll show you what I mean. So I spod, I don't pack my spod out, and I've made it just damp enough so that it hits the surface and then will spread out. But the other thing I'll do as well, and I'll show you this as I cast out, hopefully you'll be able to see it, as my spod hits the water, I pull it back a couple of foot so I get a really good spread of it. So you can see I'm not going to be fishing very far out. So I don't know if you saw that, I dragged that a couple of foot. So I'm going to put half a dozen out, and I'm going to spread them about a bit. So I want the fish mooching about over a bigger area. There's not a massive amount of fish in here, so I've got to play the numbers game really. And like I say, I don't want them preoccupied in one area. So that's a bit nearer the lily pads, but again, as it shells down from the lily pads, so my ground bait's going to be covering that shell. Hopefully you're seeing this, and hopefully it makes sense. You can see it comes out almost as soon as it hits the bottom, but it does sink quite quickly. If you make it too dry, it won't sink so quickly. So hopefully that makes sense. Right, I'm going to get the rest of it out, get my rods out, and I'll get back to you. So I just thought I'd take you for a walk along a couple of the swims here at Glemsford number 3. This one's looking back towards the car park, as you can see. Lots of places for them fish to hide. And then coming back this way, there's a swim, that's my swim there. There's a swim next to mine. Nice, lot of lily pads, overhanging trees, little tiny islands. Yeah, a lot of different places the fish could go and a lot of places to cast. And then coming up to my swim, you see I'm on the edge of the deeper area, but got a lot of water in front of me, a lot of lily pads and cabbage weed and such like. And then let's walk up this way a bit further. This is coming up towards the deep area. You can see Mr. and Mrs. Goose with their 7 little babies. And this is these 2 swims here are into the deepest water. It's 15-16 foot here. Not so many lily pads, as you can see. And then this is the main swim in the deep water. So there's a fair bit to chuck at. I mean, I could see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 places I could cast my rods. So yeah, interesting. And then there's another arm up there, and there's a couple of swims up there, and then there's swims round the far side as well. And I think you can see through to those reeds over there. There's a couple of swims over there by those reeds. So yeah, nice looking water. It's deceptive. It's probably about 4 acres, but there's probably about 1.5 acres of islands. So yeah, lovely. The fish are in here. I've seen enough of them, definitely. So this is the opposite side of the lake. This is one area of it. There's lots of bays like this. Looks very carpy, very tenchy. And where it's shallower, you can see there's a whole lot more lily pads up, but there's also, if you can see that, an awful lot of cabbage weed as well. But I'm sure that's where the fish live. This is another bay, again full of lily pads, a little bit deeper, closer in by the look of it. Lots of places to lose the fish if you hook them, but that's where they're going to live. Another swim, another bay, a lot of open water there I'd like to get at. We'll have a walk round, see if I can find some access to that open water. And yet another bay. Amazing, so many places to fish. Another little spit, little arm, just before we come into the open water where I was fishing. So it's all the way around the lake. Lovely. Proper off-grid as well. And finally, when I come back, this is the swim I'll probably fish. Cast across to those reeds over there. One under that tree. Obviously deeper water, next to no lily pads, only a few over the other side. But yeah, lovely. Morning all. Morning after the first night. Feeling positive. I had 3 definite good indications last night. One on 2 grains of maize. One on a krill pellet. As you know, I like a bit of krill pellet before it's all gone. Shrink wrapped 8mm with a bit of yellow pop up. Corn, and one on a whittled down cell boilie with a bit of pink pop up. I put the pink pop up on because the water's got a little bit of colour in it, and I thought it might help with the sight attraction. And obviously it helps balance the bait up a little bit, sits it up a little bit off the bottom. Anyway, 3 very positive indications. First one about 10 o'clock, and then one about 1 o'clock. about 12 o'clock and then about 1 o'clock and then about 3 o'clock this morning. One of the rods on the grill pellet went halfway up, moved its drop back in. This fish about, and that's all I need to know. I saw yesterday afternoon or into the evening a couple of tench rolling, albeit they were up the arms opposite me, a bit further away than where I'm fishing. Saw a lot of rudd just topping yesterday evening. Some good fish as well, and if this rain stops, which wasn't predicted when I planned on coming these 2 nights, it's only here till about 10-11 this morning I think, and it's not that heavy. Yeah, I might actually have a go for the rudd. I haven't brought any maggots with me, but they were in a bit of slow sinking sweet call because there was 1 or 2 decent fish amongst them. So we'll see. I heard 2 definite carp. Heard a lot of carp in the Fox lake behind me during the night. Kept waking me up. But yeah, definite 2 fish during the night I heard here, not far away from me, and I saw yesterday evening, I heard a crash, and I walked up 2 swims to my left and saw the remnants of where something decent had come out of the water, and I waited. No ducks appeared, so it was definitely a fish. Anyway, got a day in front of me. Let's see what happens. Incidentally, I switched from inline leads to feeders just before it got dark last night. The simple reason is there was so many rudd about that I thought, well, the little amount of ground bait that I had put out weren't going to last very long with the rudd about, and no coincidence that the indications that I had were on the feeder, whereas during the day I'd had literally 1 beat, whereas these were, you know, proper indications. So let's see what happens. Go back and see what else is out there, as they say. Nothing to get back yet though. Cheers guys. Well, that saved a blank. Decided to put Wagner rod out, have a go for see if there's any rudd about. I've seen a couple topping, so there you go. Morning all. Well, I got plenty of sleep last night. Barring about 20-25 rudd I had on the Wagler yesterday, I didn't manage anything. I think on reflection and speaking to bailiff John Weddup, I'm probably a couple of 3 weeks too early for here. These little lakes like this, lot of tree cover, take longer to warm up, and the lily pads have only just started to come up. So I've seen enough to definitely encourage me to come back. I don't think there's a lot of tench left in here. There never was a lot of tench in the first place, and then obviously the otters have had a few of those that were there. I've seen a fair few carp, varying sizes, and heard a few as well. I saw a couple yesterday down one of the spits opposite me, breach out, so they're moving about. Last night didn't get a single beep. First night I had 4 indications, and positive indications, weren't bites but they were positive indications. So I think probably on reflection I possibly fished the wrong swim for, I'm in 7.5 foot of water, and I probably would have had a better chance in one of the swims that's maybe 3, 4, 5 foot deep, which might be a little bit warmer. And that seemed to be the fish that I did see, decent fish that I did see, were in shallow water, were in 2, 3, 4 foot of water. The other side is, like I say, down the spits and up the arm to my left. Yeah, you live and learn, can't get it right every time. So in spite of my optimism and enthusiasm, I think because I didn't get a single beep last night, I probably put too much bait in. Had I just gone with that 6 spods, I switched to a feeder because I thought there was a lot of rudd about, and I thought they might be getting at the bait on the bottom, but as it turns out, I caught the rudd up in the water 2-3 foot deep, but when I fished deeper I didn't get a bite, and there was a few there, so that tells me they weren't going down on my ground bait, and the 1 or 2 fish that were feeding, I'd overfed them effectively. So I'm going to have a think about where I'm going to go next week. I definitely want to go back to Glemsford number 1, definitely want to come back here, but I think I'm going to leave it 3 or 4 weeks, see how we go, see what the weather's like, see how I feel. So thanks for watching. As always, feel free to ask any questions, and don't forget to subscribe. Cheers guys, see you soon.